All right. Hello, everybody. I was almost not coming live today because being in a session all day, interesting one with Team RCD. We are, we've been taking our Q1 report presentations and it's really been amazing. But it's the thing they say about consistency, and when you make a promise, you try as much as you can to be there. So I did say that on Fridays I would be telling stories about 50 valuable lessons that life has taught me in 50 years on earth. Okay. I don't mean to harass people with 50, but you see, I just thought that it's good to be able to follow your own story and be able to draw lessons from it and see how it can inspire other people. So this is going to be for a very short time. I'm sure some of my team members like, oh, you guys is sure, and then you know what happened. Anyway, I've answered for them. That's how Jesus can tell what's in people's mind when it's with them. So that's that. All right, so welcome. I'm super excited and I'm hoping that this will be really, really useful for you. So last week, I began on a very elementary level. I spoke about birth position. If you followed, you can remember I spoke about birth position, how that your birth position can say a whole lot about how the story of your life is going already. Exactly. And I spoke about me finding myself as a first child. I did nothing. You did nothing to arrive at that birth position. So I did nothing to find myself at that position. So I've had to lead from the get go, not because I wanted it, but because that was what it had to be. So I've had to lead from the get go. So one of the major earliest lessons that life was trying to teach me that I got to know later is the fact that your bed position is critical. It could be an indication to something. It could be an indication to the fact that life expects just slightly more from you than probably expect from other people. So that, and then I mentioned the fact that I found out that your gender is fit for your purpose. So being a woman, and I told the story around it. I will not go over the story again. For those who did not follow last week, I said that your gender is very, very fit for your purpose. So quit the confusion around whether you want to be a man or you want to be a woman. Your gender is absolutely fit for your purpose. So be at peace with that and it just be fine. I also said that and this was very critical for me last week. I kept ruminating over it even after the show. The fact that whatever your background or upbringing makes of you is only a seed. You ultimately determine the harvest. So you didn't come from a good family, that was a seed. You can decide whether you do not want to have a good family going forward. And you were not raised well, that's a seed. You can decide whether the harvest will be that you continue not to have or you make yourself such that will have. So all I'm saying is take responsibility for your life. I learned to do that. Whatever didn't work too perfectly in upbringing or background was only a seed. And then you had, and I have the responsibility of making a harvest out of it. So at the end of the day, that harvest is me that will answer for it. I'm talking about taking responsibility for your life. Now, I did say again that as you are in one aspect of life, so you are in other aspect. So mind what you do in a few aspects of life because that could just be an indication of you in other areas and other aspects of life. So it's important for you to pay attention to you. Pay attention to you. And finally, on this, if you can't start, you cannot continue, talk less of finish. And so I told that story. And this week, that the middle of the week that just passed, but is outgoing, specifically on the, I guess, Wednesday or thereabouts. It made it 8 years that I've been doing this talk thing. So I've always talked, but talking when it had to do with using a medium as powerful as the radio began 8 years ago. And consistently, I have transitioned and transversed different platforms to do the same thing and bring same awesome package of value. Consistency. is a message there. And I've also seen me having to adapt, like if this one no gel again, go that way. By all means, keep the talk going, keep it sizzling, keep it meaningful, and keep it awesome. So those are some of the things that have happened within the period under review. So for today, thank you. I can see the fire and the smile and the everything. Thank you, Stephen Oluyemi Daria. Thank you for those joining me also on Mind Your Character, Bossede. I mean, with Bossede Olusola-Obasa, Instagram, and then Bossede Facebook. Today, I have a few other things, life lessons through stories that life has taught me. And the first one for today is there may be times when you'd be alone, or it will feel like you're alone, despite being surrounded by well meaning people. Keyword well meaning people. So they are not bad people, they are not hateful, they are good, they are well meaning, but every moment you still feel alone, you still feel alone, despite being surrounded. So, on that, I did write a story, I guess, earlier this week or late last week, the weekend, or it was a Sunday. And I was talking about moments when I felt like I was alone. I was going to leave my former employer, and from my team members in the office to my superiors to even people in my some people in my family, right? There was this feeling, are you sure you know what you are doing? Are you sure you understand? Are you sure? So I was like, why isn't everybody so sure of something that I'm critically, exceptionally sure of? Why does it seem like they are unsure? Good enough. I'm thankful for the fact that I understood even as a then that this wasn't about them not wanting me to move. This was about them wanting to be sure that I knew what I was doing. This was about them checking to be sure that I am not out of, like I'm not acting out of. So I learned that in life, there are moments when you could feel like you're alone. Let me warn you, it's very tricky. It's not as straightforward as I'm narrating it now. It was a moment when I needed to check my heart, check my mind, check my soul, check everything inside me. Why? Because I understood that if I goofed, I was going to be goofing for myself. But also was encouraged by the fact that if I did well, everybody will be proud of me at the end of the day. Like I believe that many people are today. It was not so easy, but I had to take a decision. I had to move forward. I had to trust my guts and I had to trust my God. Okay, I trust my guts and I had to trust my God, and I had to be sure that whatever I was seeing or thinking, I could push through. So life taught me to know, and that's probably not the only time that has happened. So if you're growing, you better grow in understanding you and how you get convinced about things. How do you get to know when something is something you should do? How do you come out of all those confusion and wanting somebody to be the one to rubber stamp things before you know they are right? Totally, I respect circle of influence, I respect circle of stakeholders, but there are moments when even they are acting human and they cannot catch you. They cannot catch you. They really want to be able to tell you the right thing, but at that moment they cannot. So when it comes to moments like that, what do you do? That I have to stay on that because it's a very, very important part of the lessons I've learned in life. That said, I'll go on to other things that life has taught me. And the next one will be that you have to understand that there's more to every vision. There are different expressions, if only you would start. And I mentioned April 8th in the middle of this week, ending today, ending tomorrow, as when 8 years ago I began, April 8th exactly, I began um, being who you call OAP. Okay, so prior to that, I'd never done anything radio. I didn't study radio basically in school. I was all for print, print, print. And when it was time to do something else, I did public relations and advertising. The here was I finding out that I'd come to that point in the journey of my entrepreneurship, I needed to go on radio, and I was actually on radio for 5 years. But the story around it was that I did it afraid. So again, my post on that day was doing it afraid is not cliche. Oh. It is reality.com. So what happened? There was this move, there's a way if you are a visionary, there's a way that your mind keeps telling you that it's time to do a certain thing. I got persuaded it was time to do that. I felt that there was need for me to use a platform that was big enough to make the noise about character development. And guess what? One of my takeaway advantages or benefits from hosting character development talks on radio, that is Mind Your Character, was that I met a man called Mr. David Adegboyega, still very much a very awesome friend till tomorrow, who is a character development coach. As at that time, he had written a book. He said he was just listening to the radio one of those Saturdays. And then, no, first, his friend was listening to the radio and then said, there's one woman on radio that is saying the kind of thing you used to say. And he said, hey, I'll join the next time she's on radio. And it was usually a live show, so you could call in and all. That was how he listened and said, I'll go and look for. So he got the number from the radio, traced our office. And that was how I found someone in my space. It's interesting to know that I just found another younger person within that space. And he barely knows how excited I am to see that, okay, so more people are entering this space. And that's really good because we need more people to understand what this is. And I'm not talking about people doing it side by side, another thing. Like you understand that this is big enough to occupy you all your life and you'll not be done. So that is a story, but the major lesson the life taught me there is there are different versions. I started with talking with people, physical, and then found out that it was time to go on radio. I'm sure there'll be time to go on TV. Right now, I'm doing plenty of videos. You can catch up on my videos on Mind Your Character on YouTube. Very quality, valuable stuff you will find there. Instead of sometimes watching Telemundo, you can just go there. Go and add to your, go and do some character brush up and just fine tune and come out. All right. So the next thing I'll share today, because I promise that every week I'll share 5 to bring it up to 50 by I think sometime in May. God steers the destiny ship. I learned to know that God steers the destiny ship. You could lose your compass without his guide. Or more. I've learned to know that sometimes our little heads will just feel like we can do it. We already understand how it goes. You know how it pans out. Like I said, actually, look, I know how this thing will end. I'm going to marry you. It's always like that, my guy. See, there'll be moments when all the things will look as if, my lord, and if God did not say my Lord to you, you're your own. So life has taught me through several experiences that God steers the destiny ship. And if you don't want to lose your compass, just stick to him. So one of the biggest things I have going for me, if you want to know, at 50, I can tell you is God. I got saved at very early age as a teenager, and I've been privileged to have very vibrant, exciting journey as a child of God. Of course, everybody has one challenge or the other that might not even show on the face, but God keeps giving us victory. So if you're trying to wonder what speak about her, that's it. That's what speak. All right. So how many have I done today? One, two, three. The fourth one is your giftings are your strongest competitive advantage. Your giftings are your strongest competitive advantage. You know the thing about gifts and talents? Ha, they are amazing. There are things I don't struggle with. When you have direction and then you now have gifting to join, superpower, absolute superpower. So your giftings are your strongest competitive advantage. I have seen days now where everybody wants to do everything that looks loud, trending, moving. You want to jump on the bandwagon, like they said. But I tell you, you will suffer. And then you will run from pillar to post till you lack energy. Someone was telling me sometimes that, the kind of thing that you train is not what people need every time. That I wish we were talking about money, talking about this. Not everybody will talk about money. Not everybody will talk about sales. Not everybody will talk about leadership. Some people will talk about some other things. So it's about the creativity and energy that you bring into what you do. And I only hope that every time I speak and people hear me, They feel convinced about the fact that this is for the long haul. So I have learned to understand that my giftings are my biggest and strongest competitive advantage. I don't struggle to write. I don't struggle to talk. I don't struggle to ideate. Like I sleep and wake up with ideas every day. Then the final thing that is a valuable lesson that I have learned in life is you must hone the skills. I mean, you must hone your gifts into skills. Okay, so as a Christian or as a religious person, you don't just tell yourself that, oh, so God gave me the gifts. Even God has taken care of you. No, you may have skill, you may have gift, you may have talents, and all of those natural deposits. There is a place for honing your skills. So go to school. I've always learned that. And one of the biggest ways I do that is learn on the job. So many other person's story will be, oh, I went to this school, I went to that. Yes, I went to school, so I'm still going to school. And schools are a continuum. Education is a continuum. But there is this aspect of learning that works a lot for me. It is learning on the job. Learning on the job can make you practically the biggest wonder in town. So when you are given any task or any role or any position, what you do with it can make far much more of you than you ever bargained for. And you can always come out as a testimonial of those platforms. Almost everybody who has met me or listened to me knows that I started as an intern at Punch and grew working and learning under some of the finest senior media people you can ever imagine. And one day into another for 14 beautiful years, eventually I felt it was time to move and then moved and could do phenomenally great things just as a result of having gone through working in a well structured, growth inclined, and challenging in terms of delivery. Where I work is challenging in terms of delivery and productivity. There is no way to run away from it. You could only be hardworking or you are nothing else, or you are not even in that space. But you see, whilst it looked like tension, pressure, and disadvantage to many of us as are there, it eventually came back as capacity being built over the period. So I say jokingly that I don't feel tired. I only feel for those who work for me because I've been trained through a funnel or a system that makes you work and do quality work. So I'm going to be hosting Get Up from Working to share some of the outstanding things that I have learned and research on when it has to do with how your work can be a typical school. Interestingly, I'll tell people that when I'm counting the schools I went to, I can never fail to call Punch. How can I call NIJ, call LASU, call any other certification platform, and then leave Punch out? It will be a disservice. Guess why? Because Punch, where I worked, made sense of many of the schools I attended. It gave me the opportunity to learn while I was even earning. So these are some of the things I'll be sharing, practical things I'll be sharing. And there's a phenomenal way I usually package it. I'll say that, do you know how to keep earning from your employer even after you have left? How to keep earning from your employer even after you have left the employment. It will look or sound stupid, but it's not. There's a way to keep earning from your employer even after you have exited the employment. Come to the room on April 26th, is a Saturday, for getting more from working and hear the cocoa of the gist. Let's meet because it's going to be phenomenal and amazing. Simply 50,000 naira. It's the cheapest I've done in recent times. And it's because I know that a lot of individuals will want to self-sponsor to attend. If you are coming in multiples of more than up to five, you can also discuss for that discount, but there's a benchmark. Okay, but yet you can speak to us about that. What am I leaving out? It's get more from working, and this time around, I'm putting in your hands things that will make you that A gamer in your workplace. How to track, milk every single thing. Some people are not smart enough. Some things are slipping past them every day. That should make them the biggest testimonial of their employment in some matter of some years. How to track them, how to track what you are learning every day. I learned that. So I can tell you, for instance, I can tell you where I learned what from, who taught me what. I can tell you the moment I was taught, the place where I was taught. That was how intentional I was and hungry I was. So, how hungry are you? Are you feeling frustrated right now about the work you're doing? And you're saying, oh, and you think that the solution is in going into another job. Usually, it's not just the case. The solution could be your mindset and the need for you to be standardized. So, I can see Mrs. Faith Ekanem joining. Please send your teachers in. And I can see one of my former Punch uh, team member here joining as well. So if you're watching and you're an entrepreneur, please send your people in and let's talk. Talk to me or talk to Omolara on 081 We will drop the flyer in the comment section just so you can interact with what's up, and that would just be beautiful. So the fifth point I shared today was on your talents, on your giftings. When you do, they are able to be a lot more competitive. Yes, it is true that whatever is follow come, you don't struggle with that thing. But it's like Messi and Ronaldo. They say one came with it from heaven, the other one trained into it. At the end of the day, everybody can put in the best. So if something came with you naturally, and then you now hone the skill around it, imagine how that's going to be. So let's see on the 26th is the last Saturday of the month of April. Thank you so much. It's time for me to run. You know, I said this was going to be for a short one, but I'm sure I've used the full time already. Take care of yourself and stay out of trouble. Enjoy your weekend and thank you.